upgrade in terms of their quality and in their competency. So I think these are the 5-6 things which I feel will really help to ensure quality and reliability even during the challenging times.
Very well said. And behavioral quality, attitude of people, upskilling, all of them become very core to being able to deliver quality on ground. And it has to be all inclusive, not just our employees and tier 1 suppliers, but also tier 2. Yeah. Excellent. Very well said, Kavita. Now, from here, let's dive a little bit more into smart workplace. And my next question is for you, Talesha. How do you envision the integration of smart workforce management practices to optimize productivity, reduce operational costs, and ensure seamless alignment of workforce skills with the evolving demands of the industry?
Yeah. So, manufacturing industry is undergoing through a massive transformation, as we see, and mainly driven by technology like digitalization, artificial intelligence, and whatnot. That means our factories are becoming smarter. If factories are becoming smarter, our people need to be smarter. And for them to manage, we need a smarter solution, for sure. So, of course, that is very important. And probably COVID has taught us to work more smartly. During that tenure, I think all of us, probably we learned something new way of working. And that is what is now still continuing. Even during that time, I think we used our mobile phones, even for our blue collar people in SKF. We gave a lot of training. We engaged them very well for the many quiz, many learning experiences and whatnot. So we already know now where we are. Technology is more coming in. We are more now robotic kind of facilities we have. We are putting a lot of sensors. We are putting a lot of technology so that people can manage their work very well. So now when workforce management, what exactly it means basically is what we need is right people at right place at right time, right? This is all about one of the best thing. We have done a lot of many things and definitely it improves productivity, efficiency and cost. For white collar workforce, there are a lot many good practices are available. Darwin box is there for leave management. For now we have pay slip management. Everything is now on its own. But the challenge is for blue collar. Blue collar, we have two kind of people. One is who are coming new and one some old people who are not that technology savvy. So that is something which comes in. We need to teach them to use, of course, a smartphone everybody carries. So that is for sure is there. But probably something more is required to be done. Workforce management tool can help us to optimize the labor hours. Many times I have seen, and this is still a big challenge for us, we need a huge amount of flexibility. And we know there is a cyclic, we can't say recession, but downturn sometime. And when we are downturn, our top line is down, but our workforce is exactly the same. We don't know now what to do. And it can go other way around when there is a seasonality and we have a lot of demand, but we don't have workforce. So that means we need a solution which can provide a predictive analysis for us, which can tell us, okay, now this is what going to happen. And we can be prepared well.
Excellent.
Right?
Very well said. Very well said. So to sum it up, I mean, essentially factories are getting smarter. There's more automation there. We have smart people working and we need smart workforce management solutions to be able to drive productivity, efficiency, etc. within the organization, which is a very, very good point brought forward. Now, taking this a little forward and I'm also highlighted that learning is key. So my next question is for you, Praveen sir. How do you nurture a culture of learning and workforce agility within your organization through digital transformation? So as sir mentioned, there are times when we have got a large workforce but less things to produce, and vice versa. There is a production demand but can we really tap into the larger workforce available in India, but it's not available within our country, within our company, right? So all this requires agility to be built in, not just to be able to utilize people within our organization, but be able to dive into the larger pool, maybe of contract workforce, and see how quickly we can bring them in, scale it up to be able to meet the production demands. So over to you.
Thank you. It's really a pleasure to be here, first of all, among this August panel. There are some very wonderful points, valid points that have been made. And when you asked about two things, learning, culture of learning, and then the agility, right? I would actually see the question is learning agility, and that's what Hirsch spoke about, right? The ability to unlearn and relearn is going to be key. And I'll just give you a little bit of a statistics that really caught my attention. World Economic Forum in 2017 said that on an average, the half-life of a skill is 5 years. What does that mean? That in 5 years, the effectiveness with which you will work will go 50% down. And when they did the same survey and analysis in 2021, it was 4 years. So it might be much faster, much more rapid in a knowledge industry for obvious reasons than in a manufacturing industry. But I don't think it's very different for a manufacturing industry. So when that is happening, the implication is very clear that there is going to be a huge skill gap. And it is those organizations, those are able to effectively plan and across the skills, like you said, it's not just the engineering skills or the higher order R&D skills, but it's also the skills that are required to operate, for instance, a blast furnace in a steel industry are going to be very different. 15 years back when I joined the steel industry, I still saw people going very close to the blast furnace. Now I don't see that so often. Why? The technology has evolved. So I think it's extremely critical that when we speak about learning agility, it's not the learning agility of an individual, it's actually the learning agility of the organization that is going to make a difference. So if I speak a little bit more about steel industry, which is as core manufacturing as it can get, the focus is very simple. The focus is to produce safe, sustainable, and reliable operations. Produce steel through immense reliability. And reliability in itself means predictability. That is, I know that when I put this input, this is the quality that comes out. And this is true for most manufacturing organizations, right? And what does that mean for agility is when there is so much premium on predictability and quality, your ability to experimentation, which is fundamental to innovation, takes a slight hit. And that's where I think digital transformation and technology is going to play a key role. The kind of experimentation we were able to do 20 years back, 30 years back is going to be very different because now we can use Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, machine learning that will immensely accelerate the way we can predict and we can create models without without carrying the risk of failure. So I think when you look at that entire digital transformation, and if as an organization we are moving towards manufacturing 4.0 or industry 4.0, the imperative on HR, and I come from HR, so imperative on HR is making sure that use the same level of digital transformation to accelerate learning and create new careers. Because like when I first started, I said the skill And you might say, oh, and what is going to be different? It's going to be the same mechanic. It's going to be the same electrician. No, it is actually, having been in the industry for so long, I can see that the way you would recruit an electrician was very different from what you used to do 15, 20 years back. And the point is, our Indian, unfortunately, the education system doesn't yet support the accelerated, let's say, development within the curriculum. So that needs to come in the industry. And of course, there is a very important need for industry, academia, and R&D partnership to ensure that this acceleration comes to learning and continuous learning on workforce. And there are and organizations have made immense progress in terms of digital learning, gamification, but I think that just need to be accelerated in the manufacturing industry to bring that agility that we are looking for.
Very well said. So essentially what we are saying is learning agility is essential because we are looking for outcomes that are predictable with quality. And in order to get that outcome, technology has helped, but there is more that is expected of it to bring about the learning agility that we are looking for. So very well said. So my next question is for you, Mohini ma'am. So there has been a negative impact on productivity due to skill shortages. And 35% of manufacturing industry is saying, as per our recent survey, that this is the case. Now, could you share some insights into what organizations can do to mitigate the risk of skill shortage?
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me? Yeah, okay, good. So, my first thought is, all of us, are we looking at manufacturing something at the low cost and looking only at the cost? It should not be so. And unfortunately, it is like this in most of the companies, most of the MSMEs. What we should look at, according to me, is to make something to the global standard and best possible thing. And I think the cost comes next. And that is what my company has been doing with the workforce available in the backward region of Marathwada. We are the only non-Japanese company installing a higher-end super finishing machine in Nissan, Japan, in the Japan factory. And so my whole point is the productivity, quality, everything will fall in place if you have robust manufacturing thought process. Your thought process has to be the best manufacturing process, a process which will create the output exactly at that values, what you are going to measure with the given values of input. And it is my observation, because we are exporting worldwide, that Indian companies care least about this, the robustness of the process. And they care more about the cost. Maybe it is not true with every company, but having robust manufacturing technology in place is the first thing which all of us, if we are looking at manufacturing, we should do, is what my sincere thoughts are. And that will, because even Chinese, we are working a lot with the Chinese companies, and Chinese or OEMs or tier 1 companies have totally different thought process as compared to the Indian companies when it comes to the manufacturing technology. Again, they don't worry about the equipment cost and the investment, but worry more about how consistent output, how productivity or how quality is going to come out of it. So all the questions like productivity, quality get addressed if you really invest into the right equipment, is what I think. Then secondly, coming to your point, the workforce that we hire needs to be upgraded to the skill levels of today. So all the machines that we are making, what we used to make in 90s are totally different. The application is same end application, but for the same application, more automation is in place. Because of that, the skill gap, if you need skill to achieve certain quality, then you will never get it, to my mind. Then you are too much dependent on the skilled workforce, right? But whereas automatic and robust manufacturing technology can be handled by alternate workforces, so you have the flexibility. How you will suddenly put somebody in a furnace to operate a furnace? You can do it only if there is a defined things and the equipment is automatic. Then it is easier to put the new workforce in place. So my answer is robust manufacturing is the key to all these even skill and workforce and all that.
Very well said. So if we have robust manufacturing practices, we prioritize quality over cost, cost not being the only thing that we focus on, things will be better for manufacturers. Thank you, and very
I
well
think
said.
cost will fall in place with the that is another wrong notion to my mind. If you have the robust manufacturing, if you take the overall cost, it will fall in place. Because otherwise, how will Chinese compete with us? Only
Correct.
because they have more robust manufacturing and high scale manufacturing, more automation in place. So they are less worker dependent or skill dependent to create the right quality for exports.
Excellent. Very true. So if Chinese are able to compete with us, it's only because they have put robust manufacturing processes in place, and that has led to the costs coming down. Now, when we talk of any business, including manufacturing, one thing which is very, very important, and there are multiple things that are important, of course. There are robust manufacturing practices, there are automation, there's AI in the process, there's Industry 4.0. But running all of this, behind all of this, is actually people. People at leadership levels, people at the mid-management levels, and people on the shop floor, the frontline workforce, as we like to call them. Now, the expectation of this frontline workforce has also changed over a period of time. Gone are the days when people were looking out for jobs where they could retire. Right? Their expectations are changing. And that requires organizations also to change. We are talking about hyper-personalization for customers. What about hyper-personalization for employees? Now, when I put this question to most manufacturers, they say that even though we want to hyper-personalize things for individuals, the challenge is it becomes too complicated for us to handle. We have to have method in place, right? So the idea is, now that we have got this expectation of employees which has changed, they expect more flexibility, they expect better treatment at work. How do we strike the right balance between ensuring that we are working within the operational boundaries of manufacturing and still be able to take care of the employee expectations? So, question to you, Kavita.
So here, I think 2-3 things I'll just put in. When it comes to, as you rightly said, we are expecting a lot from the frontline people who are directly working either on machines or on stations, and that's the truth today. And they themselves also have a big expectation of what learning they are having and how they can move ahead, in their corporate journeys for their life inside the factory. So I'll just give you one example how this could be really brought about, where it is win-win for both the corporate as well as for the individual. For example, in Cummins, we have something called as the team-based work system, Okay, so the directly frontline people on the shop floor is a safety person, there's a production person, there's a quality person. Okay, there is a morale, that means there's an HR representative among themselves there. And they maintain how they are doing in terms of safety, quality, delivery, morale, and this. So that's one way. And they set their own rules within the overall processes which have been set by the plant. Okay, so that's one way which I really feel that we can bring about a responsibility which will be there with them, but still they work within the overall gamut of processes, which are there on the shop floors.
Very well said.
Yeah.
So I was talking to one of the HR leaders in manufacturing. And what she said was the real need of the hour is to have policies that are different for different sections of people. Best would have been if we said that N is equal to 1, which essentially she meant that the policies are individualized to individuals depending upon how they would like to work. But then that is easier said than done. So Harsh, my next question is for you. What do you think is realistically possible to do in manufacturing, and how technology can help?
So what is possible in terms of from an employee
standpoint?
I think, when we talk about employees and policies that are employee centric versus manufacturing or versus, the bottom line, right? That's what comes out as a question in terms of,
the constant tussle between operations and
correct.
people.
The constant tussle between the operations and the employee and employee well-being. I think this for me goes hand in hand, because what is at the center of this whole story is the employee. I think if the employee is well taken care of, I think most of your organizational challenges get taken care of. And I don't want to get into, big thinkers who have already said that, take care of your employees, they will take care of your customers, right? But I will give you some examples in terms of what we have done at our end in terms of creating policies which are very specific to the various personas that we have in our company. So some of the things that we are doing is what we have done is we put our employees and their personas at the center, and we've tried to create our wellness policies around that. Just to give you an example, we look at wellness very holistically, and we look at wellness putting our employees. So we hire a lot of engineers who join us from all across India and who come to the city of Bangalore, and then they are a little bit lost in terms of who's now going to look after us. What should I do if I fall sick? So we have a policy for them for teleconsulting, right? So youngsters come in and then they tell us that, oh, look, I fell ill, but we had something who we could call up a doctor and we could take an advice and get better. At the same time, when we look at leadership, we say that leadership and also our senior employees, these go through a different type of stress as well as different type of situations in life. And hence, we have brought in an AI-based health checkup facility for our employees beyond a certain age. So which has helped us in terms of guiding our employees, in terms of maintaining a proactive outlook to their health. At the same time, we are a young company, and we have a workforce where a lot of our employees and their children are going to get into an age where the biggest stress is going to be to the parents in terms of how do I guide my how do I guide my child towards the right career path. So we brought in a startup which is working with us in terms of helping and working with parents. How do they help their children find the right career path? And at the same time, they're working with the children in terms of helping them find the right career path. And we term this as parental wellness. So what we have told ourselves is we will put our employee in the center, and we will be there with the employee during the most critical and crucial stories or spaces of his life. And that's how we have tried to create an environment where an employee feels happy to come to work and is happy to solve the problems of tomorrow.
Very well said. So health and well-being is very, very important. And one of the aspects of well-being is the mental well-being as well. So I was in a meeting with one of the paint manufacturers in Pune, the CHRO. She was talking about stress at work. So she said that we have an ER team, and the ER team's job is to ensure that we are complying with different regulatory requirements with respect to workforce. For example, there are overtime limits that people can have every quarter. She says that when our ER team audits and finds instances of non-compliance, they would go ahead and confront the manager. And when they confront the managers would say, I need to meet my production targets, and I'll do what is required to meet that production target. My boss is not going to rate me well based on this compliance. My boss is going to rate me well based on whether or not I was able to get the job done. Right? And you won't understand, there are situations that happen on ground, and we have to get people to work. Not everybody would say yes to an overtime, right? So I'm left with very few. So this was her challenge. I mean, both parties are right. What do I do to resolve this conflict? Now she decided to use technology to help in this specific process. They went ahead and implemented solution. Now it was a solution which was AI based. The manager would see the skills of all people who are reporting into him, and would see what is the overall overtime consumed by each employee. And whenever he was to schedule overtime, the application itself will prompt the manager that you are trying to schedule this employee for an overtime. He has already clocked the highest overtime. Why don't you consider these other employees who are available and have the same skills? Now, doing so, the CHRO utilized technology, not just to make the operations more efficient because the person has got greater visibility, but also to reduce stress at work. There are interventions which people take, they go on picnic, team building exercises, insurance policies. There are wellness initiatives, but the real stress happens on ground. So is there an example which anyone of you would like to share? Something which, some intervention that you took, which made workplace a happier place in your organization?
I don't know if I will directly answer this question. I'll just go back to the point you did about the personalization and the expectation of the new workforce, right? I think there is a background to that, right? We all say that the expectations from the current generation, the new workforce is very different. But while that is true, it is also important to realize that it's not that the older generation did not have any expectations. It's just that the technology now enables and hence fuels that expectation even further, which is to say, when an employee or even a diploma engineer uses the technology that is freely available, he or she would expect the same at workplace. And I think it is very important for us as HR, as an organization, to reflect on the ability or how do we leverage technology to give that personalization, but that personalization is not because someone else's wants, but because ultimately it helps improve quality, productivity, etc. On the point of mental well-being, I think the previous speaker spoke about psychological safety. That is of paramount importance. And while we in our organization use tools that help us provide confidential access to employees in need, including their families. But at the, at the bottom line, the important aspect is that has to be the environment, the culture on the shop floor, and hence the psychological safety is provided by one person, which is the manager, which is the supervisor of that person. And hence the first intervention, while we do all these technology interventions to help bring support mental well-being and psychological safety, is not to forget that we need to equip our managers to provide that psychological safety. And hence our interventions have also focused on how do we clearly define the role of supervisor, what does it mean, and what does it mean to be a supervisor with whom the employee feels connected and hence engaged. I think bottom line, all the tools will work, but if we forget the support that is required for the manager, they'll.
Very well said. So I was on the similar lines. I was part of discussion in Indian Manufacturing Association. So there was a think tank who was talking about technology and use of it at workplace. And like you highlighted, it's not just about talking about psychological safety. We need to be able to equip our managers to and enable him to take care of that psychological safety, right? So on the same lines, he was talking and he said that 10 years back, when we talked about technology adoption, employees, smartphones had come and people in their personal lives were using technology the most. The next best were the organizations, which had some technology implemented for people to use. And the laggards were government. Now, while technology adoption remains the highest with the people, the government has come the next. They have gone ahead and implemented next gen apps like DigiYatra and all, and did that automation. And it's the organizations that are now laggards. So we need to be able to use technology much more, not just to ensure that our processes are set right. We have got sufficient level of automation within our manufacturing organizations, and but also that we are enabling the key stakeholders, people, to be able to take the right decisions that help support the processes, make the quality better, be able to schedule people better, optimize on cost, and be able to feel empowered to provide that psychological safety to people in our organization. So while, yeah.
Can I say something about,
Sure.
regarding psychological safety, I feel that to some extent, learning, making every employee learn something all the time, which can also help the organization, because then you can do the multitasking. In our company, we constantly rotate the people. For example, a design engineer sitting in the design office cannot design an equipment well unless he goes to the customer and services the equipment that we are making. So such a rotation not only helps him thinking and not getting bored and landing up in a psychological issue, keep them motivated and challenged all the time. And I do believe that people, apart from salary, like challenges. It is often we, the top management, are fearing to put that challenge to certain person, thinking that he will not be able to do it, thinking of his capability not being that much. But I have seen even 12th standard pass out is working on CNC machines. He has learned how to commission a machine only because of the system of such rotation and giving them opportunities which otherwise you would never think of. If you give it to HR, they would say, what is his basic qualification, XYZ? Then he can get into only the role, some role like MN, not in the other role of P. You get my point.
Correct.
So this
Very
is
well
what can handle psychological issues and also help productivity. And more than that, see, in a company like us, we are not a production job. We are a customized machine maker. So unless I have a very motivated staff, I will not be able to deliver a global quality that we want to do. And so these things become very important for us to keep them engaged. And I'm happy to say here that for youngsters, because I think today manufacturing industry is facing a biggest challenge of attracting talent. And I think because we are lackluster, we are boring people, to be very frank. So we need to bring some glamour into ourselves and our jobs. Only then the millennials will come to us. Otherwise, they will get into IT. So we have done some kind of things for this. Traditionally, an engineering industry, you become manager after your hair is gray and or bald, and then you get into the manager role. What we have done is for millennium, we have special programs to develop their capabilities, giving them various inputs and also giving them fast track. So that means somebody who is in the fast track can competitive in spite of the higher scale is something you cannot blame the workers for that. So we have to solve that issue, but for sure we have to pay them well. That
Very
is one of the answers. And to keep the work-life balance, we are probably the first engineering company is a week and zero overtime.
So,
Inspire. So regarding overtime also, we realize that overtime is given just unnecessarily.
yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing your insights. And thank you, panelists, for having a very involving discussion. So the time is up and we can continue our discussion with the larger crowd off stage. So thank you. Thank you very much for a very, very involving.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you once again. To thank and felicitate our panel, I'd like to invite on stage, ladies and gentlemen, let's clap and welcome Mr. Kailash Zansari, Head Manufacturing Bajaj Auto. I'd also like to welcome Ms. Sujata Vishnuraj, Editor Manufacturing Today, to come forward and felicitate our panelists.
Follow this?
I'd like to invite Mr. Harshvardhan Kundalkar, Chief People Officer, Dilmer Truck Innovation Center, India. Can we clap for Mr. Harshvardhan, everybody? We'd like to welcome Ms. Kavita Kaushik, Director Quality Humans India. Mr. Shailesh Sharma, Director Operations SKF India and Southeast Asia. Ms. Mohini Kelkar, Director of Business Development Grindmasters. Mr. Praveen Kurwali, Head of People Strategy and HR, Center of Excellence, ArcelorMittal Nippon Steel, India. Praveen Kurwali, our moderator, Mr. Ravi Pandey, Head of Marketing, UKG India. Thank you for that wonderful panel discussion. Thank you for doing the honors. Thank you once again. Since we are running short of time, I'll request all our panel discussions that are going to happen, our presentations that are going to come by. I'll request you all to not take the extra time. In fact, if you can cover up and do it a little bit more early, it'll help all of us and catch up on the time we lost. I'd now like to call upon stage Mr. Aditya Goel, founder and executive director, Ornate Solar, to share his presentation. Can we clap and welcome Mr. Goel, everyone?
The structure innovation is advancing rapidly, leaving existing structures to constantly catch up. State-of-the-art facilities are being rebuilt as they open. The lifespan of the structures are becoming shorter and shorter. The more recent their condition, consider they are outdated. Can you imagine a different way of building structures instead of building the way they are now? What if the structure is functioning as a system made up of modules, incorporating the roof, the walls where the building starts to function as powerhouse for its supplementals as well? The structure can be scaled up or down, yet remain operational at all times, adaptable to changing demands, integrated along with the same structure. This is the structure of the future. Structure of the future that maximizes the potential of automation and converts the outer structure into resource. The structure of the future reduces our its energy. The structure of the future is everywhere. Structure of the future is everywhere.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Aditya. First and foremost, like to give a huge thank you to manufacturing today for inviting us here. We're a very, very small company in comparison to all of the stalwarts that are here at this forum. I've looked up to, I think, a lot of the personalities that have been here on the forum. I've sent out cold emails to a lot of the companies, and I've spammed a lot of companies on LinkedIn. I'll give you a brief background to who we are and what we do. You could just okay, awesome. So our company, Ornate Solar, we've been in the renewable energy industry for the last 10 years. We've been in solar before it was very mainstream, when a lot of companies were not looking and installing solar panel systems. And it was more out of climate consciousness than it was out of economic viability. Today, the state of solar is that every country in the world wants to install a maximum amount of capacity. Every country has signed off on climate commitments. We all want to go to a net zero future, and I think we've seen the impact of global warming. We started off doing solar installations, and during the course of many years, we kind of thought it's a little odd that solar is only seen to be understood in one particular manner. And that one manner is that a solar panel must be tilted at an angle, it must face the sun, and it must be installed on barren land. The next iteration that comes is you've got a roof, you put up solar panels on top of the roof. But surprisingly, people don't look at solar panels as an integral part of construction. And whenever we go overseas, we'll see that there are these amazing buildings that are made. There's architecture which actually integrates solar into the facade of a building. It integrates it into the roof. And that's what we started thinking of, that how can we make solar more mainstream? How can we integrate it into building structures? And how can we think of the future 20 years from now, 30 years from now? The on-grid roof, we partnered with APL Apollo. APL Apollo is India's largest steel purchaser. It's got 4 million tons of annual steel, where they manufacture steel tubes at 10 factories across the country. They're an integral part of India's construction industry. They provide tubes on which PV buildings are made. And when we were building, solar panels which could act as roofs, it was natural collaboration which kind of arose. This is what we were building. We were building an integrated roof system. The challenges that we found in the industry are that everyone, when they think of integrated solar, they think of specialized type of panels, which are expensive, which are difficult to procure, which might not have the efficiency that you want from commercial systems. Any system which someone had tried to build was not really leak-proof. They were using silicone, they were using gel, they were using adhesive, they were using all sorts of materials which are not necessarily sustainable and which are not going to last for 20, 25 years. We thought of the in-roof as something which we'd want. So, you should be able to do it on a household, you should be able to do it for a commercial establishment, you should be able to do it for a large industrial share as well. So it should be scalable. We had to ensure that there should be no water ingress, because we're doing this for a factory which is a future factory, it's a sustainable factory. They would not want any compromise on the engineering, and to achieve that, we had to precision engineer the entire system. Yeah. So we kind of thought of how do we reimagine the concept of sustainability in the context of a changing world. So if everyone's talking about renewable energy, everyone's talking about how you can shift emissions from well emissions to the tank. So there are different ways of looking at sustainability, but renewable energy is kind of a core of it. So when you're building new buildings, why not integrate solar into the construction itself? These are a few images of projects that we've done. So these are large warehouses, large industries. And what we realized is that it's not very difficult to make solar look good. It just takes conscious effort. So first set of projects that we did were for an FMCG manufacturer, for a stone manufacturing company. The idea was that we're removing metal roof sheets. So if you take away the roof sheets, you're automatically more sustainable. This is what the solution looks like. It allows for natural light. It is without any sort of adhesives, completely sustainable, and it protects against water ingress. So it gives an alternative for companies that are looking to go the sustainable way, to think of construction in a better manner. We're saving on carbon emissions because we're eliminating conjugated trees. This is a global study that you have 1.85 tons of CO2 which is emitted every ton of steel that is produced. So with every sheet metal that we are kind of eliminating when we're constructing a new building with solar panels directly, we're saving about 15 tons of CO2 per ton of steel. The ideal solution that we wanted to build is something which would be serviceable for the future. It should be completely safe. It should maximize capacity. The entire manufacturing industry is always talking about increasing efficiency. So with solar, there's a theoretical efficiency that you reach with silicon. You cannot increase the efficiency of the energy you harvest from one cell. But by redesigning or re-engineering a roof, you can actually install more capacity in the same area, which is what efficiency actually means. The entire system should be aesthetically pleasing. It should have a long life and it should generate more. So we've been able to achieve all of these objectives with the in-roof. We've integrated walkways, closures. We made systems which are designed to last for 25, 30 years. And these are the components that we use. So we're using high-grade aluminum, so which is valuable, which is 6063 heat, so it's heat treated. We use galvanum, which again has a very long life. So we're able to ensure that there's a warranty on the system, which matches the warranty of solar panels. Each of the systems, there was someone over here who spoke from Ansys side. We use that software a lot for modeling. We do stress analysis. We work with IITs to validate the systems, trying to ensure that the systems last the entire design life. And these are the machines that we kind of use. So these are top grade equipment that we're using. So it's a roll forming process, there's precision engineering each of the components. And the entire objective is that with the limited space that we have in each of our factories, if we all want to truly become net zero in manufacturing, then I think the first step is to integrate renewable energy into our own premises. So everything else follows from that. This is our facility, and these are the advantages of the system. So we're better in the area utilization. We save material, which actually leads to, again, a carbon neutral future. We have better generation, aesthetically pleasing, longer life of the system, get a higher return on investment, and it's compatible with all types of structures. So I'll just share a few images. I think we're on ticker again. So this is the project at BL Agro in Bareilly. This is one we've done for Pangea Stones in Rajasthan. This is another one for Ashirwad Pipes in Karnataka. This is one for APL Murbad at their in-house facility in Maharashtra. This is the largest one we're doing, which is Jindal Steel, which is 3.5 megawatt. All of these companies have been super supportive. It was a concept when we took it to them, and they've all embraced it. They've looked at the engineering, they validated it. And we're doing projects that are small, we're doing projects that are large. Hindustan Unilever, we've done a pilot project in Mumbai itself. And this is NV Prasad Eye Institute. This is in Hyderabad. Yeah, this is something we're very proud of. When we first went to a client, a very large group, they asked us, where is this collaboration from? We work with a German company, a US company, or a Japanese company. And we said, no, we designed this in India, we've engineered it in India. We're all engineers by heart, we're engineers by profession. We've studied at India's premier institutes. I don't find a reason that we should look outwards for engineering solutions. We're pretty capable of doing it. So we made this in India, we're proud to say it made it the world. But thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you for the audience and for our time.
Thank you, Mr. Goel. I'll request you to be on stage with us. I'd like to welcome Ms. Sujata to felicitate Mr. Goel. Can we clap for both of them, everyone? Thank you. Thank you once again, Mr. Goel. Thank you, Sujata. Ladies and gentlemen, we now move on to our next panel discussion, peering into the future of industry 4.0 or 5.0. What lies ahead? As we embark on the journey towards the future of manufacturing, I'm sure we find ourselves at the intersection of the industry 4.0 and the rapidly emerging industry 5.0. Our esteemed panelists today, experts in their own fields, will discuss and share their perspectives through the uncharted territories of technology, automation, sustainability, the human-machine collaboration that define the future of the industry. I'd now like to invite all our panelists on stage for this interesting, amazing session with all of you. I'll request someone from Sofitel team to please arrange chairs for our panelists on stage. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Kamna Sama, Director, IT Humans. Can we clap and welcome Kamna Sama? We'd also like to welcome Namrata Mahendro, CDO, Aditya Birla Chemicals, to please join us on stage. Can we clap and welcome all of them, everybody? To Jagdish Ramaswamy, President and Chief Digital Officer, Hindalco Industries Limited. Mr. Sunil Mehta, General Manager, Mitsubishi Electric in India. Mr. Sandeep Agarwal, Executive Vice President at Visionet Systems. Mr. Partha Kamakar, Vice President, Business Head, Professional Lighting, Havells India Limited. To moderate the session, I'd like to invite on stage Mr. Sunil David, Digital Technology Consultant, Ex-Regional Director, AT&T, co-chair of Digital Communication Group of IET Future Tech Panel, NASCOM IoT Tech Guru. Can I request for a few mics, please? Thank you. Well, we are almost set. Peering into the future of the industry 4.0, 5.0. Let's see what lies ahead. Can we clap for the wonderful panel on stage, please? Over to Mr. Sunil.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. At the outset, I would like to thank ITP Media for giving me the opportunity to moderate this panel discussion. And the topic for today is peering into Industry 4.0, 5.0. What lies ahead? We were actually given about 45 minutes for this discussion, but we were asked to curtail it to 30 minutes. So given that time constraint, even my context setting, which was supposed to be 3 to 4 minutes, I'm just trying to confine it to a minute now. So what we want to do over the next 30 minutes is to first understand from a manufacturing standpoint, before we look into the future, what is happening today. And we're going to hear the practitioners to talk about how their organizations are going through the search journey, Industry 4.0, before they transition to Industry 5.0. And we'll also want to hear from them in terms of how are they preparing their roadmap for Industry 5.0. Right, so we're going to hear the practitioner's perspective. We have just one exception. We have Sandeep, who would give a perspective from a solution provider standpoint. What are they doing for the manufacturers, right? And to make this very, very simple, what we are doing is we're just having one round of questions. We have no time for taking audience questions. So after we finish with the panel, you all are free to reach out to the panelists and pick their brains. And I'm going to start now by getting Namrita. Namrita, I've had the opportunity to hear you before, and it's really fascinating in terms of how your group have a very clear vision when it comes to digital and the pillars that we have from a digital standpoint and the accelerators. Can you share with the audience? It's a two-part question. One is how's the journey so far? And secondly, how are you preparing for the impending Industry 5.0 revolution, which is going to be very human-centric and the sustainability is going to be a major issue?
Thanks. Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to thank the Manufacturing Today team over here for inviting me to this panel discussion. To respond to Sunil's question, I think looking at the here and now, I joined the Deborah chemical sector about 3.5 years back. And I think over this 3.5 year period, which was just before the pandemic hit us, it's been a very, very interesting journey. When I say interesting, what I mean by that is that I was brought into a situation where one had to work within constraints in all shapes and forms. But there was also a huge opportunity for innovation in those constraints. So the way I look at it is, in the course of the last 3 to 4 years, the role of the CDO, CIO has completely changed. They've today had to wear many, many more hats than what they were traditionally doing, which is predominantly from a CIO perspective, looking at a lot of the operations and keeping the lights on. Today, you are taking on the role of a strategist. With digital and technology, business models have got disrupted, operating models have got disrupted. So that's one new role that you're taking on, where you're partnering with business as opposed to, just keeping the lights on. The second role is that of an innovator. We've seen the pace of technology grow exponentially. We have seen what has happened in less than 12 months with Gen AI, and prior to that with a number of other technologies. So we're contending with those technologies and then as a custodian of making sure that the organization is making the right technology choices. When you have this influx of technologies coming at you, you have to understand what's the business strategy and what are the technologies which would align best at what point in time. So there's the short-term view of here and now, what would make sense, and then there is the medium to long-term view. Because if you were looking at quantum, you can't plan for it 5 years or a decade from now. You need to plan for it now for it to actually, come to the fore in a decade. So given that, I think that role is the second role that one has had to take on over the last 3 or 4 years. The third role is really in terms of making sure that you are a futurist, able to look into, with all the volatility that is out there, you're able to look at what are the different changes which are happening in the market. You're supposed to start predicting what may happen, what technologies from Industry 4.0, Industry 5.0 will become important. The focus with Industry 5.0 on human centricity and sustainability, the well-being of the human and the planet. The people and the planet is, where you need to start looking at, moving your attention from just a productivity focus. So I think all of that you need to plan for right now. So the futurist role is, sort of keeping all of that in mind. From an on-ground perspective, I would say there were 2 or 3 things that we've done extremely well. We have the benefit of having the Aditya Birla Group, and therefore under the aegis of that, we have followed a 3-pronged strategy. One, we are very, very strong on a platform approach for a lot of the work that we do. And therefore, while we may start with pilots and POCs, we may have our own lighthouses that we scale up. But then the end state for us in many cases, whether it's on the infra or the application side, is looking at a platform approach. The second aspect is around building COEs, which allows us to then tap into those. So as innovation is happening, you're not just relying on your own capabilities, but you are benefiting from a larger COE that you can tap into, that you can partner with internally to actually accelerate your transformation journeys, along with partnering with the external startup ecosystem. And we do actually have our own startup ecosystem also called the AAA partner that we use very, very frequently for different problems that we look to solve. And I think the third aspect for me would be in terms of making sure that, in the here and now, we are measuring what we are doing. Because that focus on ROI allows us to make sure that, there is business alignment, there's business buy-in, and we are doing stuff which creates business impact. And it's not just a technology, experiment that we're focusing on. Coming to the second part, and I'll, share that very quickly in the interest of time. In terms of Industry 5.0, as I said, the 2 pillars of human centricity and sustainability are extremely important as we look at it. I think being in the chemical industry, safety is of paramount importance for us. And so that has been, in terms of all our transformation initiatives, in terms of all our focus areas, safety has been sort of, at the heart and center of what we do. I would have shared a lot more on it, but again, have a little bit of a constraint, but happy to take the conversation offline. And on the sustainability front, it's about getting the foundations right. How do you use digital to digitize just the compliance part of it, which in itself is a mammoth task? And then beyond that, how do you actually use digital in terms of new products, new technologies, which will actually enable a lot of green chemistry to come into play? And I know that's more of an R&D play, but again, how do you actually accelerate that R&D process for your R&D teams using technologies, whether it is through simulation, whether it's through scenario planning? Again, there's some work that we're doing in that space. The second area that I'd say on sustainability is the low-hanging fruit is the energy side. And there's work that we've done in the past, and we continue to do that, which is of importance and creates business impact right away. And the third and the last area under the sustainability agents for us is really looking at how do we create more transparency, when we're looking at sustainability. So there again, there is a bunch of initiatives which we are exploring, across the supply chains, across our yarn business, across different businesses that we have within the chemical sector.
Thank you so much, Rita. And I just one thing which I really caught my attention: the role of the CEO, trying to keep the lights on, at the same time innovate and be the futurist. I think it's going to get even tougher by the day, perhaps. Right? Let me move to Sandeep. Sandeep, you represent an organization, VisionNet, which provides solutions to large manufacturers, not just globally. Right? So, can you share some of the learnings and some of the areas where you're seeing manufacturers really seeing value from some of the solutions that you're offering? So, can you elaborate with the audience?
Thank you, Sunil. It's nice to be here in the midst of the happening India as a happening destination in the world. Just to cover what Sunil was talking about, what are we doing in this particular space, right? First of all, I just wanted to remove the myth from all of you that Industry 4.0 to 5.0 is a step journey. It's not a step journey, right? So it is something that you can actually adopt it while you're doing things actually. And the more sooner you adopt Industry 5.0, you don't have to take a step journey. Just like actually a lot of telecom people went to 4G and now to 5G without going through 3G, I think it's an important opportunity, especially for Indian manufacturers, to jump to 5.0. The only difference, if you look at it from 4.0 to 5.0, is it's moved from human-machine interface to human-machine collaboration, which AI and ML is bringing. It's more focused on sustainability, which is carbon emission, net zero focus, and the resilience, because COVID taught us about why a supply chain is important, and not just your manufacturing, but the entire supply chain is important. So if this three aspects, if you're looking at it, you're already towards your Industry 5.0 journey. And that's what we are trying to also do with respect to giving the customers the solutions to jump into Industry 5.0, taking this three into account. Right now, the major focus, let me start with resilience first. The resilience is, like I said, actually earlier focus on automation and digitalization was restricted to basically look at how your product is going to be better, innovative, and less operational cost and everything, right? That was a focus. Now with the supply chain coming in, you are moving that particular focus from a product to a customer. So customer is becoming centric and not the product. Right, so that is the major difference, that when you move your centricity from your product to your customer, then you talk about hyper customer and not only manufacturing to basically cover it and get to the customer that needs that particular hyper customization or personalization. So we do have some products into that. We have a product called Partner Link, which basically connects all particular dots of multiple silo systems that is there within your organization to give you a unique view of the chain across the process. And by getting that, you are able to achieve two things. One, your supply chain becomes consistent. So the more data in the hands of the people, every single person in that supply chain is empowered to basically now take decision at their fingertips, which allows you to go to the customer faster. Right up to from your research to your manufacturing to your basically customer support, all the teams start working together in one particular view with the data coming in as a central. Second, it allows you for resilience, which is again pretty much important in the supply chain, that you know where your breaking points are, where your bottlenecks are, which supply chain is breaking. Suddenly you have a major demand from a customer point of view or a large inventory piling up. If you don't have that particular data in hand, then you are actually looking at your demand supply equation, which can go wrong. So you basically start working as part of the resilience, where it's on demand need of what you're creating in the system, thereby giving a business outcome. So some of this particular products we are trying to take it to the market. We also are working with a pharma company in terms of hyper personalization. So when we talk about hyper personalization, we all know Dolo. I am sure everybody in this room had Dolo. There should not be a single person who has not had Dolo, actually. If you can, I think you should get an award. But I think the same Dolo principle, if you look at it, it was a generic drug, right? And now people are talking of a very hyper DNA-based drug that can come out, which can take the DNA of the patient and then basically give a very specialized drug matching to the DNA of the patient. It's very, very personalized. But if you have to get to that stage, you need that entire ecosystem to be working. You need to be monitoring that patient 24/7, pre-applying the drug, during applying the drug, and after applying the drug, right? And that's where actually the era of this personalization is happening. We are proud that we are helping one of the particular global pharma companies in terms of creating this whole data set, which will come to this hyper personalization, even from the drug which we never could imagine. Some of the thoughts.
Thanks, Sandeep. So we are moving from this era of mass customization to hyper personalization. So it will happen in manufacturing sooner rather than later. Thank you. Let me move to Sunil. And Sunil, you represent a 100-year-old brand, Mitsubishi. You're also the president of Automation Industry Association. And I happened to hear one of your interviews in which you mentioned that today in India, the level of automation is a little low.
Yes.
And if you really want to really drive industry product automation initiatives, your foundation has to be strong, right? So can you share with us your views on overall automation and also specifically within Mitsubishi, how are you progressing as far as your industry product and kind of industry?
Yeah, good afternoon. Thank you for this opportunity. I represent Mitsubishi Electric, being a Japanese company. See, Industry 4.0 is the terminology what Germans bring in. Whereas Mitsubishi, being a Japanese company, this has been implemented way back in year 2003 in our own manufacturing plant in Nagoya. Germans started talking about Industry 4.0 in somewhere 2011. What happens is that if you see the manufacturing in Japan, you talk about all the OEMs, Toyota, Nissan, Hyundai, Suzuki, and all these things. You talk about Canon, you talk about Mitsubishi. The production volumes are very high and the quality is superior. So that's the way where we land. Regarding Mitsubishi Electric, to 2021, we celebrated our century. 1921 was Mitsubishi Electric was established in Japan. So actually, there was a different distance. And we say that it's an e-factory. And when we Mitsubishi, we implemented an own manufacturing plant. In fact, in Pune, you are most welcome to see the manufacturing plant what we are in Pune, and recently we are also setting up a new plant in Talega, where we have all these 4 technologies implemented in our own manufacturing plant. Now, coming to the question whether we are industry, what are the automation levels we have? In my view, yes, the big OEMs like Suzuki, Honda, Bajaj, and all these people, a lot of automation is already in place. But when we talk about MSMEs and FME, still there is a lot of way to go because you need automation. Unless and until you have automation on the machine, on the equipment layer, it's very difficult to get the data from the machine. And we have legacy machines. We have very lot of brownfield or greenfield projects. Greenfield projects are very less, but there are many machines which are already running and they are in production for 20-25 years. And they are producing the products. So people are not ready to throw away those machines. So upgradations of those machines, getting the data from these machines, these are the challenges. Applications of robotics also is the area where we are still lacking compared to China, Korea, and Japan, because the statistics always talked about number of robots, 10,000 people, and the number of robots. The world statistics shows that we are very, very miniature in applying the robotics in India. So that's the overall area where we need to look into it. Automation is the key, and automation will be the foundation to get data from any machine. It's a small or big machine, experience or whatever it may be. So that is a very, very important area we need to play a key role. Japan started talking about Society 5.0. We talk about Industry 4.0 or Industry 5.0. The Japanese people always talk about Society 5.0, where they are talking about involvement of the manpower and the skills and all this. So that's a very, very important another area where they are looking. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Sunil. For the point on Society 5.0, I think we'll build on that later. When we talk about the human dimension, let's do Industry 5.0. Let me move to Kamna. So Kamna, you represent a global brand and your past experience with TCS, 18 years there, part of the experience, providing solutions to the global manufacturing companies. So with that global experience, plus your current role in Cummins, can you share with the audience? One is, okay, any key learnings from what while we are TCS role, and specifically within Cummins, how are you going about your whole industry product journey?
Thank you, Sunil, for the question, and thank you, manufacturing, today for this opportunity. I would say in the last 6 years, when we started on digital transformation for global manufacturing organizations, we actually started embarking on the journey of customer experience. So at that time, being a B2B centric industry, we were trying to adopt on SMAC, which was social mobility as a channel, analytics and cloud. So that is what the focus was for manufacturers. And though, I would say automotive obviously has, a lot of use cases, but what was a very insightful observation for me that I found that process industry, discrete manufacturing, agriculture, these kind of domains were actually trying a lot of variety of use cases. And geographies like MEA, APAC were way ahead. They were exploring these experimental use cases. They were building up COEs to build capabilities and skills within the teams. They were all out exploring, right? It was very, very interesting. Another aspect I realized is when you execute from a global manufacturing organization, these initiatives, the rigor of the C-suite was very, very high at that point of time. At the same time, a lot of experimentation happened. However, now things have changed, right? The business value is asked as the first question for any of the industry 4.0, 5.0 initiatives. So while us, 5 years back, it was more on experiment. Now it is more on realization, is how I would see. Another observation that I had in that role was there were, as an SI partner, like I played on the other side of the fence as well. As an SI partner, when we implemented digital accelerators and solutions and platform solutions, there were some solutions which were easily cross-deployable across industries, right? So, for example, solutions for functions like HR, finance, whether you build cognitive services, analytics, solutions were repeatable irrespective of the industry. But there were some solutions which were very, very contextual and had to be customized for the customer, like manufacturing cases. So, if I just have to share an experience like digital track and trace, like a typical end-to-end trace, including the upstream and downstream, and the assembly line traceability is such a common use case. But when we try to adopt it across the industries, I found a very interesting insight that applying it to a process industry product versus a cement industry product versus a fragrance industry product, which is the raw material is very different, the finished good is very different. The solution is not replicable as it seems so. So that was one of the insights that I could derive in my previous role, that cross deployment has to be understood well enough before going ahead and proposing to different domains within manufacturing as well. Coming to your second point on the Cummins journey, I think in our Cummins Industry 4.0 journey, we have 6 pillars. And while we talk about Industry 5.0 to me, which is just an augmentation of Industry 4.0 with aspects of sustainability, human centricity, we already had it as one of the pillars. So one of the pillars in our 6 pillars are people. So when we started off making the strategy itself at a Cummins level, we included people as an important pillar in that journey. And we also way ahead were never targeting a hyper automation. So there was never a target to, get into a phase of optimization where it is affecting the socio-economic sustainability. However, we started off, so if you really want to understand, now we are in a journey where we are looking extensively on robotics and automation. So as we speak in Cummins, in India itself, we have almost 20 robots that is across the plants, and we are using it from assembly line to palleting to welding, all of the various works that happens within the shop floor. But at the same time, there is a human element to it on how the operators are getting skilled to work along and adjacent to cobots. We are also doing application integration with cobots. So how the cobot can integrate with a packship application, for example. So if we have to really understand the repeatable non-value adding work is getting automated, but at the same time, the workforce is getting skilled to use these new technologies as well. Another area I would talk about Industry 4.0 where we are adopting, especially is also on the IoT space. So we are getting on to build machine health monitoring. We are connecting our plants so that the OE monitoring is happening and we can do a better comparative analysis and reduce that. That is another area. We are also focusing on getting warehouse level automations in place, wherein we are getting IMR solutions along with AVGs. We are getting ASRS kind of systems, which is automatic storage and retrieval systems, so that the material movement can happen within the shop floor from the warehouse to the assembly line. So that's another area we are focusing apart from robotics. On the analytics space, I would say we are starting on to build the enterprise manufacturing data hub. So we are right now more in the area of prescriptive analytics, where we are capturing the data. The future that we are targeting is definitely on prediction. So how do we get into condition-based monitoring, where we can predict a spindle, going having a failure. That's the end state that we are targeting for, but we started that journey already in our plants in India. And overall, I would say we are also focusing on additive manufacturing. So Cummins started off very early on 3D printing globally as well as a solution. So we are having fail-safe fixtures, prototyping happening through 3D printers as well. So slowly, steadily, in each of the areas, we have tried to start it off in various geographies, in fact, with various plants, understanding the maturity and then taking the I4.0 initiative. But I5.0 has already been principally there in our ecosystem with focus on plant 2050 and reduce even energy management. So we were focusing on energy management, analytics as well by next year to get onto our plants.
Thank you so much for sharing all that. And when we talk about 6 pillars, and one of the pillars is people. Jagdish into the and just talking about the people dynamics before I ask you about your journey currently as far as Industry 4.0 is concerned, you made the statement, and I quote, that amazing people transform Hindalco digitally. Once the people own it with passion, it will happen. Can you elaborate more, Jagdish?
Sure. So we are short of time, so I'll keep it very simple and pointed. I think all my colleagues the important aspects. But let's talk about, as manufacturing industry, all of us know 2 systems that, one is WCM, world-class manufacturing, in some way or the other, all of us practice. Second, in the context of automobile engineering, the TPS, total production system, right? So if you take those 2 and embed 2, 3 important things in that. One is more consumer-centric. Second, digitally, how you change the practices, where digital gets embedded in the practice. Third, ESG, just moving away from safety, environmental measurement to really making it a purpose-driven. So what is world now is digital WCM or digital TPS. And that's what I've seen even in Toyota, by the way. Now this transformation really is about how does your practices on the ground change. It's not about technology anymore. Okay, there are 2 things. All the technology that we have spoken, I think you have money, your management has the intention. I think people are today spending money, and I'm sure many of you today have all the technologies that we spoke about. What makes the difference is how do you make it a way of life? And that's where the most important is people. And without people getting into the adoption and making it a way of life, the digital or ESG will be a failure. And I'll share with you a few things that we have done. One, when you look at WCM practices, you have this morning huddles, right? How are people using data in the morning huddle rather than just becoming subjective as to yesterday was good, today is better, saying that what is the data telling you about yesterday? So we said change the practice. Every WCM practice that you have, see how you can make those practices digitally engaging by using data across all levels. Starts from the operator. It also has to be translated to the contract workforce. It has to be translated to everybody. And I think the previous panel, I heard very interesting discussion about the people practice, how you have to translate these practices at multiple layers and make a way of life. So truly that's what we are doing, translate all these technologies into, so how does your maintenance practice change? How does your quality consistency practice change? change? How does your first pass scheme change? All by using data and then making sure they are able to take decisions faster than what they were taking in the previous generation. I would say WCM to digital WCM, there is a generational gap. So you have to really, put these as people practices, change the practice of people in terms of manufacturing, in terms of how you behave and interact with the customer experience. We spoke about it. Everywhere it's important for us to define a new way of practice, document it and consciously practice. And the middle managers will have to play a very, very crucial role. Today's youngsters, I think they are digitally savvy. You don't need to tell them. Today's youngsters are more purpose driven, more sustainability driven than the middle generation. So the challenge for us is how are we going to make this middle managers more digitally savvy, and that's what we are focusing on.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Jagdish, for sharing that. And you said that as we use technology, make it a way of life. I think that's important. And you emphasize the importance of data and data-driven decision making. Thank you so much. Let me move to Partha. And Partha, you represent well-known brand Havels, India's perhaps largest fast-moving electric goods manufacturer. And as I was researching about your company, last year I noticed that as part of your strategic initiatives, there were two which really caught my attention. One, you talked about using digitalization, and second, sustainability. It's again very core to industry 5.0. So can you elaborate a little bit more in terms of how Havels is kind of preparing for this transition, Partha?
Thank you. First of all, let me just share, I come from lighting department of Havels, and lighting is such a small subject in all the manufacturing industry, but still I would say it's a very small cost, very high impact element of a manufacturing industry, where if there is no light, there is no work, there is no productivity, no digitization, nothing. So we come from that part of the ingredient in a manufacturing industry. So what we have been doing on digitization, as your question, during the COVID times, we had some great experiences of digitization where we were able to connect all the suppliers as well as distributors, all the employees, and we had extreme level of information exchange of material, of sales, of production, of dealer, distributor, their performances. And we have, I can proudly say that the system which we now use on digitization, it is one of the most formidable systems in terms of transparency across the ecosystem of all our suppliers as well as our distributors and dealers and customers. I would like to emphasize on one more area, that is when it comes to digitization, it is one aspect of it is how we are making use of digitization in our factories, but also another aspect is how we are providing digitization to our consumers and customer experience. So that's where I would like to emphasize that when you see the new standards which are coming up, everything is becoming more human-centric. So as it is human-centric, only I think we had COVID to give us a jolt and make us realize that we have to make things human-centric. Otherwise, actually, everything has to be human-centric. So it was like a blow on us to make us realize that yeah, you have to make it human-centric. Now we have the web standards. We have various other regulations which are coming, which are human-centric. So what we are doing in terms of our solutions, light can be just light or it can be right. So just light can be, as we are eating, we can eat anything, and right food is also there. So in lighting, we have phenomenal innovations, how we make it very close to natural light in terms of spectrum, in terms of its layer limitation, in terms of its comfort and stroboscopic effect in case of such kind of manufacturing industry. So we are able to now bring in a lot of solutions which are bringing huge safety to the employees as well as workers, and also digitization in the form of how you can do asset management of each and every line equipment, so that preventive maintenance can be done. You can do better energy saving and also have much better control of them. So that's how we are trying to make the digitization. And obviously, we have all spoken about sustainability, which is the core. Every component we are choosing, every processes, and the final product has to be somewhere in the line of the circular economy. And that's how we are trying to bring in solutions and the various products.
Thank you so much, Partha. We could have continued the discussion for a longer time, but we have this constraint and giving me that royal stare. So I better stop now. So I think what very clearly came out is the human dimension. But what I would want you all to do is please meet the panelists after we finish. I'm not even going to attempt to do a paraphrase of all what they spoke and summarize, but just don't have the time for that. But I wish to take this time to thank all the panelists for sharing their perspectives. It was a wonderful discussion. I hope you found that very useful. On that note, I close the session. Back to you.
Can we have a huge round of applause for our wonderful panelists on stage, everybody? I'll request you to come forward for a group photograph together. While we do that, I will invite on stage Mr. Hafiz Sheikh, Business Head, ITP, to please join us to felicitate our panelists. I'd also like to invite on stage Mr. Lokendra Singh, Managing Director, Ross Process, to please join us on stage to do the honors. Thank you. We'd like to thank Ms. Kamna Sama, Director, IT Humans. Can we clap for her, everyone? It's Namrata Mahendro, CDO, Aditya Birla Chemicals. Mr. Jagdish Ramaswamy, President and Chief Digital Officer, Hindalco Industries. Mr. Sunil Mehta, General Manager, Mitsubishi Electric in India. Mr. Sandeep Agarwal, Executive Vice President at Visionet Systems. Mr. Partha Karmakar, Vice President, Business Head, Professional Lighting, Havells, India. And let's hear it loud for our moderator, Mr. Sunil David, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to invite Ms. Kamna Sama once again to come forward. Thank you, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, it's now time for a presentation on e-factory, Japanese perspective for smart manufacturing by Mr. Parag Kulkarni. Smart Manufacturing Solutions, e-factory, Business Lead Pan India, Mitsubishi. Can we clap and welcome Mr. Parag Kulkarni, ladies and gentlemen?
So, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Cultivating, and I'm representing Mitsubishi Electric India. And perhaps this is the last presentation. So I have the honors to be with you. I will be brief and I will try to give as much as insight. So, Mitsubishi Electric, I will share a few slides which you about our corporate data. Who's sorry for the technical glitch. So I'll just quickly run through some slides which are about Nelco, Japan, and then thereafter I will share a few slides about Mitsubishi Electric India operations. So as you can see in the picture, this is the tallest building from China, Shanghai Towers, and we have the highest speed elevator installed in this building. This is the corporate data, sorry, from the group. We have many companies represented under the Mitsubishi Electric Group. You can see some names like Nikon is also part of our stakeholding. And there are about 560 companies in the Mitsubishi Electric flagship. This is our corporate mission statement, and changes for better is our punchline. However, moving forward, also having a new punchline with effect, and that's automating the world. So that's our punchline from 23 onwards. These are our core values. So you can see trust, quality, technology, ethics and compliance, humanity, environment, and contribution to societies. We do a lot of CSR activities across India, including drinking water facilities, schools, and so on. These are the major. We come from the industrial automation systems, and apart from this, we have many other business areas like information and communication systems. As an example, the satellite communication systems. However, this is not represented in India. We have also home appliances and electronic devices. Like semiconductor manufacturing is one of our biggest strength, and all our products, they carry our own semiconductors. And this ensures very high reliability amongst whatever we do. So this is like targeting a sustainable growth. So we heard a lot about sustainability during the panelist sessions earlier, and this is how our mission and the strategy for sustainability. Few slides about Mitsubishi Electric India. So this is our presence in India. We have about 24 location presence, and we have also a good representation, I would say, in B category towns, not only the metros, but we are also percolated well with all the industrial clusters across India. And this is one of our biggest strengths. And along with this, we have also a strong network of alliance partners plus channel partners. That is how we are structured. These are the businesses that we carry in India. So air conditioning systems, factory automation, where we come from, building systems, and energy systems, automotive equipment, semiconductor devices, space systems, transportation systems, and visual information systems. So this is how we are locational presence for India. We have 6 factory automation centers, that means training centers also. And apart from this, we have 33 authorized service stations for our customers. The reason is to be close to the customer, not before you sell, but after you have. That's the strategy and philosophy we always will. We have 120 plus strong network of partners across India. And we also have the key factory alliance partners, which are necessarily the IT companies. So these are not the integration partners, but these are the partners who can architect software solutions for you, for the manufacturing industry. And this is one of our strengths. This is the only R&D center which Mitsubishi has away from Japan, Europe, and US, not in China, but in India. So we do developments for our domestic needs, as well as we do developments for the global needs. So moving to our topic, which is for digital manufacturing. So a lot has been discussed about all the elements of digital manufacturing. You can see all the factors that perhaps contribute for digital manufacturing on the slide. And here you can see many things that we commonly use or we commonly come across in our daily life, but summarize for you in a crisp manner. Then we talk about this, maybe some basic, but this is the principle or this is the architecture that we follow for system models. And this is also an important slide, like we decide what are our objectives for any digital journey. Like a lot has been discussed during the panel sessions and I was hearing them carefully. So every industry has similar needs, it has different objectives, and those must be stated upon. As example, if you want to leave the control to the system, you must have an adaptable system. As example, if you want to simplify repetitive tasks, then you should do more and more computerization. So things of this kind can definitely give a good insight. So when we say digital transformation projects or digital implementation projects, we see that they lead sometimes nowhere. They get stopped in between or they don't give you big results. The reason is not addressing or not finalizing the proper objectives. So if we do a lot of planning on the objectives, I think we are better towards the results. So digital manufacturing, operational excellence. This is where we try to contribute our bit for the Industry 4 program. And this program was announced or your shop floor or your plant layout. The middle one, which is depicted in brown, is your analytics of, let's say, your age computing layer. And the top one, which you see, is the enterprise layer, where your organization systems are sitting. So what we try to offer here is a FA to IT linked unified platform. So this is how we solve the complexity of moving towards Industry 4 by a simplified model. And this is how the Japanese way of looking at Industry 4 is. So when we start or thinking about digital manufacturing, there are various aspects, like you try to take data from the shop floor with multiple ways. There can be some software plugins, there can be some hardware gateways, and you try to get this data from machines or equipments or systems or process equipments, one factory or multiple factories, and then you try to create basically data modeling. Similarly, before implementation, you should also have a digital replica of what you are going to do. So before you invest, we generally try to check whether whatever we are doing is correct and we can have it evaluated. So what are the benefits that we try to offer? So you can see collaboration between design and production, then non-stop running factory, that means no downtimes, reduction in cost, energy conservation, also carbon neutral, and manpower saving, and of course, management connected to the manufacturing. So you can have a quick view of all your manufacturing at a glance, whether you are sitting in your office or you are away from office. We can facilitate this in a very friendly manner. So these are typical the issues what we face in manufacturing, and this is how we try to solve these problems by using AI technology. So if you see how we are structured, so if you see, like, we have a wide variety of automation and software which we try to use at multiple layers to offer a comprehensive solution to our customers. So this includes Microsoft Gemini, which is for 3D modeling. Then we have Genesis, which is the visualization platform and modular platform. We have also MyLab, which is a software which has a data science built into it. It doesn't require any data scientists to be attending. And then, of course, we have remote services, which is in making. These are the major four components that we offer to the industry. These are the main four softwares, four pillars that we offer to the industry. This comprises of Microsoft Gemini, which is the 3D modeling software. We have MyLab, which is AI-driven tool. And we also have an IoT platform, which is quite comprehensive. Like you can start from 2,000 tags to 2 lakh tags and quite stable performance. So I will not go into deep of these products, but I will try to just touch upon. For example, this is something about the Microsoft Gemini, and this is how you can try to do machine simulation as well as line simulation. I will try to play small way towards the end of my presentation. So similarly, you can go to this software for Genesis. So in Genesis, we have, as you can see, Genesis 64-bit structure, and here you can have quite advanced visualization, analytics, and we can also have a client server mechanism supporting multiple client This is a very successful product, quite stable. We have used it in multiple industries like steel manufacturing industry. We have used it for data center applications. We have used it for pharmaceutical applications. We have used for food and beverage industry. So you can see this can be used practically for any manufacturing environment. It's quite flexible. These are some of the insights, like we can create a lot of visualization. This also has a tool called API Works, which works like Power BI tool within the software. You don't have to use anything external. Machine scan, and also, with and also quality. The three aspects that we can tackle using this. We go to the last slide of my presentation. Last two slides. So you can see here, this is one of the things that we have deployed for a manufacturing plant for a major automobile major. And you can see that we have been using the data from multiple plant locations using the IT layer. We have a framework called Works, and this makes communication between multiple servers very easy. This is another example for utility cockpit for a major automotive manufacturer. And we can see here that we are aggregating the data different plant locations across India to a central repository, and then we are creating dashboards which are classified as which are given as a classified information to the respective users on the plant. And last but not least, this is one of the examples for a pharmaceutical unit. So here we can have multiple PLC manufacturers, or the devices can exist from different makes, and we are seamlessly able to connect them to a unified system. So we can create quite complex architectural samples. And with this, I will just want to take one more minute of your time, wherein I will quickly run through this small thing. No, that's so that's all. Thank you so much for your attention.
I thought the claps are going to be louder for Ms. Farah. Everybody, thank you. I'd like to invite on stage Mr. Badresh Dani, Vice President, Bharat Fishery, to please come on stage and present a bouquet to Ms. Farah. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, with an absolute honor and deep gratitude in our heart, we'd like to thank the presence of Mr. and Mrs. Arun Firoz. Chairman Kinetic Group for their presence here with us today. We have a huge round of applause for them. Thank you so much. We're really honored. Thank you. Well, I think we'll be skipping the break that we intended to, but the tea and coffee has started. If you wish to have tea or coffee, you can have it and bring it to your table. Thank you. Next on our agenda is the fireside chat, where we delve into high relevant topic, the future of women in manufacturing. I'd now like to invite all the panelists on stage, beginning with Mr. Rajneesh Damani, Director Operations, Bridgestone, India. Can we clap and welcome him? We'd also like to welcome Satyendra Tiwari, Director Manufacturing, Case New Holland, Construction Equipment India Private Limited. We'd also like to welcome Aditi Sharma, Independent Consultant, ex-Vedanta, to please join us on stage. To moderate the amazing session, we'd like to welcome Mr. Ashok Muthuswamy, Vice President, DE Sustainability and TQM. Huge round of applause for everybody. Thank you.
It's one of the most important sessions with having more and more, how we can increase the women part. Some very amazing panel. So I'm also very happy to have Aditi, who can also represent, and of course all of us represent, do represent women. So with that, we will also keep this pretty short, and we will ask few very interesting questions that I will let the panel provide. So, but before I start asking the question, just to give the gravity of the situation, see, like I can mention that we are losing $1 trillion, close to $1 trillion. So, I mean, $800 billion, because women in India are not participating in the work. So already there's close to $1 trillion which is gone. I mean, that's on the financial aspect, not necessarily the social aspect. And share of women in senior management position is also pretty low, around 14%. And women-led businesses or CEOs, they are less than 8%. So that being said, women also spend 2.5 hours more per day than men on unpaid care that they give to the family. So all these are, pretty serious aspects. Half of the population is not treated as well as they should be. But that being said, situation is not only doom and gloom. In the South itself, we have some excellent women, they're easier.
Then earlier we also had folks like Kavita, Mohini, Suman, and of course one and one is Sujata. I don't know where Sujata is, amazing job that she did. So, and also we all know what the Chandrayaan and all the women engineers scientists who put the vehicle to the moon. Only thing is we need to have see more such examples, and some positive development is recently a bill has been passed in the parliament for women restoration. And also Prime Minister Modi in his recent remark at G20 mentioned that global development is not possible without women participation. So having set the context, let me ask Aditi the first question. Aditi, you are a senior leader who have been around and so please tell me, what are the typical or the biggest challenges that women face in manufacturing industry today? And how can they overcome?
So good evening, everyone. I know you all are busy drinking tea and coffee right now. The question is, actually, I don't know if we really want to know what challenges women face, or we are talking about what is the challenge industry faces when they want to get women on board. These are two very, very intertwined questions. Most of the industry, and I'm talking from my 29 years of experience, when I used to visit my supplier base, from a very small thing like having a washroom in the premises, to having the policies to understand that women at certain part in time in their life will need certain kind of breaks, or we need to identify the kind of working environment, even the mechanical handling of certain equipments, whether they can be done by women or not done, are a lot of things which we have to think as industry. Now we are moving in the industry 4.0 and industry 5.0 and so much of digitalization, artificial intelligence. I think every job is becoming easy for women. But who is working on changing the mindset of the entire population in India, like mechanical engineering or going into anything to do with production lines, is also a career option. So what women face in the workforce is definitely a constant stigma that whether women can do it or cannot do it. There's still a lot of resistance to give certain kind of jobs to women without asking them whether they can do it or not. We have already identified and tagged it saying this cannot be done by women. And the third and most important thing is we have no exposure for women, 50% population of India, to say what is it to work in an industry. There's a fear, there's a kind of fear is the right one, the absence of word I would say. There's an unknown fear that people have that going to shop floor is only for men. So what we have to do is bringing more and more students into our factories and show them that how easy, how comfortable and how satisfying it can be to be in the shop floor. So I think that's where I leave it for everybody to think. It is not for the existing women we need to go and cannibalize. There are like 10% women in the overall manufacturing, and I go to Bajaj and take from there, and Bajaj goes to Mahindra and takes from there, Mahindra goes to Tata and takes from there, Tata comes to me and takes from there. We are cannibalizing the market. We are not creating more and more jobs and more women to come and work for us. So I think these are the two things I will leave. One is how can we make it more visible for people that it is easy to work? And how can we look at us and say, is it really easy to work?
Thank you, wonderful. The point you mentioned is mindset. One oft-repeated example was Sudhamurthy, when he wrote for a job at Telco, Tata Motors used to be on the Telco. And he was not selected because the manager told that there is no water. How much time it will take to build the water, right? That is right. It's absolutely the mindset, right? I mean, that is one. Another point also which you touched upon is manufacturing is not what it used to be even from the day. Now it's all this 3D printing, robotic, and all these other. I mean, it's a different world out there. It will be more kind of
Any, so thanks, Aditi. Now let me move on to the next question. Go to you, Rajat. So, Rajat, how do you think we can support the professional development?
I will start where Aditi left. We will understand what she said is before we even talk about developing them, we need to make sure that the environment that we provide is conducive enough for attracting, right? In the manufacturing industry. So there are a lot of things that we try to do in terms of that is when you are getting fresh talent, because everybody needs talent, right? When you're getting fresh talent, we mandate 50% genders. Anytime we post a role, an optional role, we position it in such a way that it's relevant. Third, we also try to explain the organizational structure and make it conducive that women can rise up or take any of the roles in the organization without any effort. So these are things we have. Certain areas that we really look at from a development perspective. One is hire new talent, fresh talent. Second, early identification of women talent who have the potential, and you see the potential. You need not be 100% confident, but even if you have 50% assurance, how can you hone the skills, giving them mentorship well ahead in their careers, so that you can grow them to that far. Second, we need to make sure that our policies, company policies, specifically HR policies around this are very well displayed and very clearly articulated, right? That from a company perspective, management perspective, leadership perspective, we are focused and we do want women to be a part of the leadership. So basically walk the talk, demonstrate it from top. That's how we can make sure. The other thing which we try and do is, you are talking about retainership, we talk about returns. Right? Women, we know who take breaks in their careers, keep the maternity. But how do you ensure the returnship is even more fruitful, welcoming, and they can be assured that even after taking a medium or a long break, they can come back and join back careers at a stage where they left. Often we tend to say that, you have a 5-year break, so you start afresh. I think that mindset needs to change. So I think these are certain things that I would look for in terms of really making progress in developing women talent.
So some of the points that you mentioned is obviously how you can identify human leaders upfront and how you can move there. Maybe I would also like to add about positive. Figure out but we have to discriminate and let it be positive and policy of inclusion. Gender neutral jobs and also maybe have a slight bias for women who after they reach the wouldn't hurt. And the other point also very interesting is retention. And a lot of countries have actually benefited a lot from this retention program. The women who are after taking a break of 5 years or 10 years, once they come back, the results are extremely encouraging. So profitable aspect for business and adult. So like that's so thank you, Rajat. So Satyendra, over to you, maybe on the same lines. How can we mentor and create next generation of women?
Working. Okay. In fact, we had been talking about the cultural state, the mindset, changing the mindset. I think I graduated 30 years back. I have only two girls who are studying with us in mechanical engineering department. Frequently, I'm going to IT should be diverse, gender diversity. And we there is social stigma. If there is a female employee, she should be nurse, she should be clerk, she should be working in line, maybe a teacher. Not someone who can work as a blue collar, as a software leader or supervisor of the software. I think more we talk about it, this is the way we develop leadership. I think like I have an idea of creating a food line with the gender diversity. We starting with line setting. I have taken almost 2-3 months just to convince that it is for they don't have, they cannot apply a lot of work. And I think I have made it possible. There was a lot of resistance whether it's a good in repetitive manufacturing. If you look at quality set, the mindset which is coming from social beliefs, they are very different. If I look at I think that's where we need to respect that they are coming with a different set. Like the most more about what is being today on the lunch, not what are the problems we have. But if we don't have rest, we will lose creativity on this side. And I believe that if you want to have a potential of creativity, continuous learning and growth, you have to have a gender diversity. And in fact, I was running a program in my company. I have seen 10% of the female employees, they are giving the best of the life. They are coming with a problem because generally problem in our social life is possible that men see the problem, he notices and he complains. There is a likelihood if women is seeing a problem, she will not only complain, she have intense daily work, and that's why rest of the guidance is coming from the. I think if you want to develop them, we have to talk more about it, the need of diversity, and allow them to speak about what they are doing, how they are feeling, what kind of projects they are doing, what they feel about working in manufacturing. Sometimes they are shy, not talking about it. They are just coming and doing their job. So if we want to promote leadership, maybe we need to give a chance. Can we ask them how they feel? Can we ask them if they take pride what they are doing? I think this is the best way to really develop leadership software. And I'm very confident future software leaders will be driven by employees. Thank you.
I just wanted to add a few things here. You know, we always talk about the difficulty women have. The entire healthcare industry, if you see, women work 3 shifts as nurses, doctors. Saying that there is women being a gender is a problem. Hospitality industry, hotels, women work 3 shifts. All level women work. Aviation industry. Even today, if you see NDA has become viable for women. So even the army, which is the most difficult space to work in, that is where even the moment government opened it, that women can go, you can see the number of applications coming. Which means when we talk about it, when we make it viable, when we make it look come there. So it poses a question to the industry. Are we talking too negative about it is difficult for women to work in shop floors? It is difficult to work for. No, women don't take this. No, women should not take mechanical engineering. No. 20 more years we are going to do this. I have graduated in 1995. The same thing has been told to me that women don't go to mechanical engineering. 30 years later also I hear the same thing. That when it comes to engineering, not mechanical. Rest of the places, women will go and take a job which is 24/7 outside the country. They have to live in residencies. Medical profession is the worst when it comes to the time, kind of commitment. So somewhere this industry has been doing negative marketing about themselves, saying that this is not the industry for women. How do we change is for all of us to stand up, go to academia. Now the new education policy which is coming, does it even have a subject which takes people to be interested in automobile or mechanical or electrical or anything to do with engineering other than computers? So even with this new NEP, we do not anywhere in the top. Doing it. I think it is in our head. It is in our easy for women to come and work here. Bring more women. Talking about all not having toilets, not having can women do all the work? If you go to construction site, women do all the work. Right? Most of the time, the most physical labor you will see women doing. Whole they take it up and down. Which means they run the house, you go to agriculture, women are doing most physical work. So why is it that with machines we don't trust our women? I leave for everyone to think here. Is it truly difficult to work in automobile, or we are not doing something to attract people to our homes? Because there are educated women who want to go out of the way, and every woman, including me, I wanted to do something which no woman has done before. That's how I took mechanics. People used to think I'm mad. Today, I think I was mad. I should not have done it because no women. I should have done it. But even today, I see that women want to do something which no other woman has done. Still, we don't come in their list. So there's something which we have to do differently as an industry to attract more women into manufacturing per se.
So let's give a big round of applause for the Delhi. So some of the points that really resonate. One is you mentioned about certain industry like medical alien, which is very, very unfortunate in terms of physicality of the job, in terms of hours, right? And IT industry, all 20% free, right? I mean, if we can do it, those and be very successful, why not?
I think team makes a very important phrase. And I would try to substantiate what everything said with some results that you see. Right? I have seen women doing the best quality welding. Some of the best welding quality without any defect. We recently in Bristol, in Pune, we hired our first batch of apprentices of 100 women, 100% women, 100 women. We put them. They got trained to build tires. Right, and it's not easy. They would say, but you see, they got trained to build tires in a time span lesser than what the average man did. The output of the tires that come from the building in terms of quality and consistency is much higher. So this is actually, I just wanted to substantiate what she said in terms of real outcomes that we have seen in the hardcore manufacturing. So definitely, somebody said it in the morning, I think someone said, women can do it all, and I agree to that.
Thank you. So
there was a point, and I think just reminded me. In one of my companies that I had 3 managers, dotted, solid, functional, all 3. But it is amazing to work. So you can actually see, they have high places in the building very capable.
Yeah, that will happen sooner than later. Sir, let me ask one question. Can you elaborate how we get into for women in particular, maybe generally for the workforce in general?
Workforce in general, I think when it comes to women, it's very difficult to really talk about work-life balance. In India, our social structure is so organized that after coming home, you also expect she needs to taking care of in many other stuff. So, and that leads to take them extraordinary leaves, sometime to bring something like the kind of obligations he has for the family. If we are not sensitive about it, and to find out which, and if we look at, because she is doing some work at home, she cannot defer. As a company, can we provide certain level of facilitation in order to ensure if she needs to go to hospital to take care of something which she cannot defer, or she needs to go to a parent-teacher meeting, why all the time her, why not him? And can we support these kind of requests? As a company, we have now new legislation which has come up for, especially for the construction female employee, where you need to have children also allowed to be there around, so that any woman working feel safe, working in the perimeters you'd like to operate. So I think one other area is flexibility of working. I think we can provide certain level of flexibility, like as Aditi said, female are working in A shift, B shift, in hospitality and other sectors. Why she cannot come and she has a job in A shift, she can work in B shift. Like as an initiative, we are doing a lot of testing in B shift. Earlier we are thinking having a female employee in B shift will bring a lot of responsibility on the company, to make them drop. So we have started this. We are training a lot of female employee and they can come in B shift, and I think they are happily doing it. So if you want to really motivate female employee to come around, take a job in manufacturing, this flexibility will really bring a lot of benefit to the company. If you have a motivated female employee around, it will always thrive creativity. It will always thrive for quality, and it will create a ecosystem around where everybody is feeling really very happy about working in B shift, because in manufacturing setup, normally B shift, end of shift, nobody like to work. I was in Europe recently in one of my company. I have seen the last person, she was a team leader. I was in Sampirana, one of our company, far away from the city. The last employee, she was a team leader to leave the factory, was that team leader, and she was a female, very young. And I was just thinking, if we ask it to happen in India, in fact, the first mindset is, should we do it at first place? But female, like, the way she takes care of the home, it's like she's taking care of the stuff, closing all the diaries, closing all the material issuance, and then she is going home. Maybe this requires a level of facilitation, really to guarantee that women are really feeling proud what they are doing. They love what they are doing, or they do what they love. This is the association very close to manufacturing domain, predominantly dominated by males so far. This is the way where if we allow them to have this level of flexibility, maybe they will start loving the work. They didn't take pride, and they can be the brand ambassador, taking care of quality, productivity, and entire cultural alignment we can speak about. Thank you.
There was, I just want to mention one of the suppliers. So when I was working with Cummins, I was driving this supplier. At the supplier end also, we wanted 30% minimum gender diversity. So there's one of the supplier in a very small place called Ichal Karanji near Kolhapur. Their name is GMT Tools. And they came up with such a unique proposition saying that we understood that women have all the early morning chores and send their kids, and they get free by 10 o'clock. And they have to go back at 4 o'clock to their home. So they came up with this 6-hour shift, special shift for women to come and work. All these women, they had an offline operation where, they did not really need women to work in the online. They created an entire offline work for women who used to come at 10 o'clock and go back home at 4 o'clock. So they could take care of their home. They got to work so that they could get extra income. And then home. So, there are many innovative ways that if you have in your head that you want to drive it, one of my managing directors, one of my companies, and I won't mind using the name, Cummins, they said, okay, I am shameless about it. I want 70% new hires to be women. And everybody in senior leadership has to be hired is a woman. Today, they sit at 60, 70% at the highest senior most level in leadership. It took them 10 years to be there, but they could do it because they top to bottom decided we are going to be shameless about it. We are going to only hire women and then ensure that every policy which we make for them, while we hire them because of their gender, but once they are in our premises, we are not going to differentiate them by gender. So if they came up with part-time work policy, it was for men, women, both. If it was hybrid policy, it was for men, women, both. If it was paternity or maternity policy, adoption policy, every policy, the moment you step in, it was for equality. So when we talk about equality, we need to understand that men and women are different. They're not equal. They're not clones of each other. How we embrace that, there is always going to be certain advantage and disadvantage of being a man and of a woman, how we bring them together and make them work in our premises by not constantly comparing our Rajneesh and Aditi, saying that what he can do, you cannot do. So I think it is maybe I just request the industry to say, just take a chance. Start taking more women in your premises and learn what we can do to have more viable, more beautiful, more homogeneous workplace for both the genders to come together. Because if you're not doing that, you're losing out on 50% of the talent which is available, and you're only trying to grab from the remaining 50%, which is men.
Right. So just I would like to echo on this point. When you said we are losing 50%, in fact, one of the main reasons why the US has a very huge workforce, as some of you may know, is during the World War time, all the men went to fight the wars and women went to make the airplanes, make automobiles and all that stuff. And they did an amazing job. And then the US became, lot more women in the workforce. So one is it's a social obligation that we have, but what based on what I'm also hearing, it's also a very profitable one to fulfill because women bring a lot of diversity, the huge talent pool. If somebody is not tapping into that huge bottomless pool of resource, that person is a loser, right? So that, thank you very much. And I would also like to thank manufacturing today for this great opportunity. Sure. Not bad.
Come forward. Can we have a huge round of applause for our panelists, everyone? I'd like to invite on stage Mr. Samir Gandhi, MD, Omron Automation, to please join us on stage to felicitate our panelists on stage. Mr. Rajneesh Damani, Director Operations, Bridgestone, India. Person in specs. Mr. Satyendra Tiwari, Director Manufacturing, Case Holland Construction Equipment India Private Limited. Ms. Aditi Sharma, Independent Consultant, ex Vedanta. Ms. Aditi Sharma. Mr. Ashok Muthuswamy, Vice President, BE Sustainability and TQM. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Well, it's the moment we all have been waiting for very, very eagerly, ladies and gentlemen. We're now ready to commence the awards presentation ceremony. I'd like to invite on stage Ms. Sujata Vishnuraj, Editor of Manufacturing Today, to share a few words about the 11th Manufacturing Today Conference and Awards. Can we clap for Ms. Sujata loudly, everybody? Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Deep apologies for this immense delay that we have caused. We couldn't help it, but thank you for everyone that was staying back. My heartfelt apologies for this delay. So, the future of manufacturing is poised for a profoundly immense and relentless march of technological advancements. The 11th edition of Manufacturing Today Conference 2023 serves as a celebration of the core essence of manufacturing. Within this evolving global landscape, we are entering a dynamic phase marked by the emergence of global consuming class and the ignition of innovation-driven demand. Yet this transformation occurs within an environment fraught with uncertainties. As we embark on the 11th year of this prestigious award ceremony, we take immense pride in our accomplishments. We acknowledge that this journey would have been impossible without unwavering support of the manufacturing community. This year, with over 480 nominations, including submissions from not only industry giants, but also from MSMEs and SMEs across the country, we are reaching new heights. Your industry's response empowers us to elevate this event to greater heights. Thank you for being an integral part of our journey. May I request my team to play the jury AV, where we had a jury meet on 8th of September, where our jury celebrated on all the nominations that came across, and they had a hard time coming to a conclusion of winners and runners-up. Amrita, can you please play the AV?
I was happy to see that it was not all nomination that was coming from the sustainability part and from the organizations part. See, they were quite innovative And the ideas behind
I think it was very exciting day, and we had a lot of nominations, and the nominations category were really good, and a lot of thinking and brainstorming happened between the juries. And
Very exciting to see all the good work the operators been doing in India. And it was a very tough job for all the companies to pick up the list from all the participants.
I would like to congratulate manufacturing with an amazing for having such awards. It will also create money for me during the process of trading or the awards. And I'm really happy to see that the manufacturing industry is doing a lot of sales activity in all areas.
See the progress made in the manufacturing sector by the companies, be it digitalization, utilization of energy efficient resources, green manufacturing. And I'm sure this endeavor will give a boost to the manufacturing industry and gives the confidence to all the winners as well as the nominees.
Because we are experienced to know how the energy industry is progressing in terms of very important parameter like digitalization, industry, sustainability. It is amazing to see some of the SMEs and large companies doing wonderful work. There is a lot to learn when we are part of jury, and I'm sure we all will benefit hugely from our learnings to know each other and what companies can do. It's a great event. This is the first time for me to be able to reveal this. Absolutely, that's it was a learning experience for me. I got to see the length and breadth of the great work that's happening in the manufacturing sector in India.
Yeah, excellent representation across the spectrum of organizations. And it was very delightful for us to go through each of the company's efforts and accomplishments and find out the best practices and how the awards. Very good part of the and seeing so many process improvements manufacturing today is really creating a platform where many of the industry can look at a lot of best practices, different areas of product areas of process, and we can really assess and find out what
Some of the great work done by many of the Indian manufacturers in terms of trying to improve their processes, leveraging the power of technology. It was very tough to kind of come to a conclusion in terms of who will be the winners.
Can we have a huge round of applause for all our jury members? I'd like to invite Ms. Sujata Vishnuraj once again on stage. We'd like to welcome all our jury members on stage with a huge round of applause. Let's clap and welcome Mr. Rajneesh Damani, Director of Operations, Bridgestone, India. Can we clap and welcome him, everybody? Mr. Ashok Muthuswamy, Vice President, DE Sustainability in TQM. Please join us on stage. Mr. Jagdish Ramaswamy, President and Chief Digital Officer, Hindalco Industries Limited. Can we clap and welcome him on stage? Mr. Sunil David, Digital Technology Consultant, ex-Regional Director, IoT, AT&T, I co-chair of Digital Communication. Mr. Satendra Tiwari, Director Manufacturing, Case Holland Construction Equipment India Private Limited. Mr. Badresh Dani, Vice President, Bharat Bijli Limited. Can we clap and welcome him on stage, everyone? We'd like to thank all our jury members, ladies and gentlemen. Most of them have left because of the time constraint, but can we have a huge round of applause for the entire jury? Thank you. Congratulations and thank you so much. I'll request Mr. Jatha to stay back on stage with us. This year, ladies and gentlemen, we proudly present not one, but 3 Lifetime Achievement Awards. Each recipient has carved an indelible legacy in their respective fields. While one might assume they are retired and enjoying their sunset years at leisurely pace, you would be mistaken. Their enduring energy, ladies and gentlemen, and unwavering commitment to innovation continue to outshine even the youngest in the industry, setting a remarkable example for all. Let's begin with a Lifetime Achievement Award, and the award goes to ladies and gentlemen, it's time to welcome on stage Baba Kalyani, Managing Director, Bharat Forge, to please join us on stage. Well, he's currently not present here with us today, but there is a message that we'd like to play.
I believe it is a great honor to be bestowed with the Lifetime Achievement Award for the prestigious Manufacturing Today India magazine. At the outset, I take this opportunity to extend my sincere thanks and gratitude to the jury members and the governing leaders of manufacturing today. I'm very happy to know that the annual theme of this year is Future of Manufacturing, a very pertinent topic, and more so today when India is particularly well poised to emerge as a major alternative to China, and has emerged as a critical pillar in the resilient global value chain of the future. Friends, I've been in business more than 5 decades now, and never before have I witnessed such heightened optimism and confidence in India from the Western world, including our customers and strategic partners. While India accelerates to a $35 trillion economy by 2047, the country is poised to see at least a 12 to 15x jump in manufacturing value, and roughly about $6 to $7 trillion on the current numbers. Such growth is unprecedented and reflects the times that Europe, United States, or Japan saw in the post-World War II period. In the words of our Honorable Prime Minister, this is India's moment, that is Bharat's Amrit Kaal, and let us commit to truly accelerate manufacturing agenda in India. Thank you once again, and wishing the very best to all of you.
Can we have a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen? We are honored to have Mr. Raju Kalyani, Executive Director and Board Member of Bharat Forge, here to accept the award on behalf of Mr. Baba Kalyani. So could you please join us? Can we clap for him, everybody? Thank you. Congratulations once again. Lifetime Achievement Award, ladies and gentlemen, to Mr. Baba Kalyani. Thank you, sir. Can we have a hand mic, please? It's time for our next Lifetime Achievement Award. Our distinguished awardee is, let's have a look at the screen, ladies and gentlemen, with absolute honor, with a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. R.A. Mashelkar, FRS, former Director General Council of Scientific and Industrial Research.
I'm most grateful to the manufacturing today for bestowing this great honor on me, the Lifetime Achievement Award. I know this is a very prestigious award, and I have no words to thank you. I returned to India around 47 years ago, and there's only one job that I have, which is CSI, Council of Scientific and Research, and all my services to chemical industry. I've been to this great institution, Council of Scientific and Research. I remember I was director general between 1995 to 2006, the longest serving in CSR. And I remember the transformation that we did in CSR is now ranked the top 10 of greatest achievements of Indian science and technology in the 20th century, starting with green research. So I can very gratified to have this opportunity to be this great award. So I will thank every single one from my CSR family. And of course, I began my journey in national curricular working, as we all know, and the transformation of national curricular into international curricular, where we are not copying the person here, but developing new intellectual property, licensing it to leading multinational companies, it's a game changer, basically, and then become a Harvard business school case study where they talk about. So I have been gratified. And finally, the trust and decision and there are 16 members of the committee, as you know, who are guests and every I was taking the essence of the inquiry to large gas and complex actually now German the fairs or national really great information. Finally, I like to dedicate this honor to my beloved mother. This is a lifetime achievement. She gave me birth, she gave me life, but also gave me values in life. Born in a very poor family, my father died when I was 6. When they brought me to the UK, it was hard struggling, studying the street and persistence and the resilience and experience that she taught me is why I'm where I am. So I want to dedicate this honor very humbly to her. And once again, thank you very much for being this. Thank you.
Huge round of applause for this one, ladies and gentlemen. Lifetime Achievement Award, Dr. R.A. Mashelkar. Ladies and gentlemen, now we present our next Lifetime Achievement Award, and the award goes to, with absolute honor, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to invite on stage Mr. Arun Firodia, Chairman, Kinetic Group. It's such an honor to have you here, sir. Arun Firodia, Chairman, Kinetic Group. With great pride and admiration, we bestow the Lifetime Achievement Award upon Mr. Arun Firodia at the 11th Manufacturing Today Conference and Awards. His remarkable journey as an engineer, innovator, and social activist has left an indelible mark on the landscape of mobility and technology. Known affectionately as Mr. RND, Mr. Arun Firodia has been a driving force behind groundbreaking products that have touched the lives of millions. From the iconic Luna, providing newfound mobility to the common man, to the pioneering kinetic Honda, empowering women with easy transportation, his contributions have reshaped our world. In his relentless pursuit of a cleaner, green future, Mr. Firodia is now at the forefront of electric vehicle development, striving to rid our city of pollution. But his vision extends far beyond automobiles. He has lent his genius to designing a 90-seater aircraft, an earthquake warning system, and an innovative device enabling visually challenged individuals to listen to books and newspapers. His legacy is one of the innovation, empowerment, and a deep commitment to nation building today. We celebrate a lifetime dedicated to reshaping industries and improving lives. Ladies and gentlemen, let's clap once again loud and clear for Mr. Arun Firodia, Chairman. I thought we all going to stand up together. Such an honor to have him here with us. His presence, his motivation, his ideas.
Thank you, Manufacturing Today, for giving me this wonderful award. I cherish it for the rest of my life. I would like to take this opportunity to say a few things about our company and what I achieved. And what is the challenge that we faced, how we, in spite of the challenges, made our journey. First of all, I'm an electronic engineer. I was working in the US in a company at the Institute of Technology, making microprocessors. Years ago. My father wrote me later, come back to India, we want to make a moped. I did not know what is a moped, so I asked him what is it. He said it's a common man's vehicle. I thought it's something like Volkswagen Beetle. So one of my friends came to India, he said, no, it's a cross between bicycle and motorcycle. So I'm an electronic engineer, I don't know anything about mechanical engineering. So that's good. We'll not start with preconceived ideas. We'll start with fresh mind. But here is some money for you. Your project, I help you. But I have some conditions. What are those conditions? He said, make a vehicle which is less than 50 kilograms in vehicle. Those days, all vehicles will be 100 kilograms. You should carry 2 people. Cost will be below 1,800 rupees. No imported components. No imported
machinery, in fact, factory backward area. These challenges have to be. I'm glad to tell you that while meeting these challenges, we employed a lot of things that we heard to do. For example, backward area. We had no people who were skilled and trained to work on machines. We had to send our vehicles to farms to get